Alrighty, hello, we're back once again to Sudoku with your girl Eve. So, lo and behold, we're back at the rat run. Who would have thought, right? It's not like it's literally my favorite series in Sudoku history ever, and I want to do more of it. No, nothing like that. So, we have two puzzles left. Discontinuous and censored. I have decided, after a not so thorough, consideration, that I'm not quite ready for the 4-star. So instead, we're gonna do censored today, number 10 here. Which is technically the last puzzle of phase 1. I can't wait until phase 2 comes out. These are super fun. I really, really enjoy these. But without further ado, let's get started, because this has a lot of rules, so we're going to have to explain quite a bit of stuff here. Normal Sudoku rules apply, so I have to put the digits 1 through 9 in every row, every column, and every 3x3 box, which at this time I actually don't need to, at least not quite, don't need to give the disclaimer that the 3x3 boxes are kind of hard to see because of the rat run maze stuff, because there's not much of it quite yet. But that's because of, well, a rule we'll get to in a second. Aim of the experiment. Finks the rat must reach the cupcake by finding a path through the maze. The path must not visit any cell more than once, cross itself, or pass through any thick maze walls. As well as moving horizontally, Finks may move diagonally if there's a 2x2 space in which to do so, but may never pass diagonally through a round wall spot on the corner of a cell. So this is going to be quite hard to explain, because I don't know where Finks or the cupcake is. So let's just imagine that this is where the cupcake is and this is where Finks is. And let's just draw some walls here to illustrate what's going on. So imagine, I don't know, these were some walls in the puzzle. Then maybe that. Then Finks, which is the circle here, is going to have to move from here through the maze and get to the cupcake eventually. She may move diagonally, like it said, so she may do something like this, but she can't move diagonally through a rounded wall spot, so like that. That's not allowed. Maybe I should have drawn the path in a different color than the walls. That's what I was trying to say. That's not allowed. This is allowed. I'm just gonna have to get to the cupcake eventually. Just erase all that. Okay. Fog. This is what we're seeing. The maze has been filled with fog. When correct digits are entered, the nearby fog will clear. No guessing is required. So, fog is pretty interesting. I haven't done a fog puzzle in quite a while on this channel, or at all actually. But basically, say this digit here. We don't know what it is, but say we find out that it's a 1. When we put that digit in, these, whoopsie daisy, these 8 cells surrounding the 1, as well as the 1 itself, would be cleared of fog. It's kind of a way to hide information from the solver until they get to a certain point in the puzzle, and I quite like it. It's a very cool mechanic. Black currents. We don't see any, but digits connected by a black current and a 1 to 2 ratio. One is double the other. Not all possible black currents have been given. So let's say this was a black current. This would just mean if this was a 2, this would have to be 4, because 2 times 2 is 4. Or it would have to be a 1, because 1 times 2 is 2. Motion sensors. The digit on a pink sensor, which we actually do see a few of those, indicates how many of the up to 9 cells immediately surrounding the sensor are visited by Finks, i.e. any cells neighboring the sensor cell, diagonally or orthogonally, as well as the sensor cell itself, are counted if they lie on the path. Interesting. Okay. So basically that means whatever digit this is, that means of the surrounding cell, or actually let's talk about this sensor. Of the surrounding cells, including itself, any cells that are on the path will count towards this digit. So if this was a 9, that would mean that the path somehow crosses all 9 of these cells. If it was an 8, it would mean it crosses 8 of them, and so on. I think that's all that says. Yeah. Cages. They just don't repeat in a cage. Every cage has an electricity symbol which indicates its shock value. Any cage with a shock value of 5 or higher should not be entered. Cages with a shock value of lower than 5 are safe to enter. So we don't actually see any cages, but let's say this was a cage. Already did, Alexa. Then this would mean... Indeed. This would mean all 5 of these are different, which they don't necessarily have to be by Sudoku, but by the cage rules they do. And let's say the electricity symbol in this cage was here, right? So let's say that's an electricity symbol. Whatever this digit is, says if it's a safe or not cage. If it's 5 or higher, then Finks may never enter this entire area. So this entire area will be blocked off from the path. If it's 5 or lower, then anything can happen. She may or may not enter. And finally, test constraint. In this experiment, the first cage that Finks enters should have any total, or could have any total. After that, each subsequent cage she enters must have a total exactly 1 greater than the previous cage she enters. Cages not entered by Finks can have any total. Okay. So of the cages that are on the path, let's say these 3 are on the path somehow. Let's say Finks starts here and she goes kind of like that, right? Then that means whatever total this cage has, this cage will have a total 1 greater than it, and this cage will have a total 1 greater than that. So, interesting. Very interesting. And that's the rules. It's a lot of rules. It's a lot of stuff to think about. But I think we'll be okay. So, let's get started. Now, obviously, we can't do anything over here at all. We have to start at this bottom left corner. Now, what I can see immediately is that any cell with a sensor on them... Let me think about this. No, I was going to say bogus. Yeah, I was about to say bogus. I was going to say any cell with a sensor on it must be visited by Finks eventually, but that's not true. Like, if there was a sensor here, and Finks never visited that, but she visited cells around it, that'd be fine. But one thing I can say is that this is a 4. Because this is not a 0, which means one of the cells surrounding it, at least, is visited by Finks. And whichever one it is, let's say it's this one, then Finks is going to have to go out and into that cell. Because that's just how every cell that isn't Finks herself or the cupcake work. She's going to have to go into and out of that cell. Now, if she's here at all during the path, I like to draw these paths in green. I don't think that's going to conflict with anything. The puzzle itself is lines, so that should be fine. Then she's going to have to go in and out, so she's going to have to do that. Oops, that. And then the path must continue, so it must do that. And then the path continues to do that, it does that, and then does that. Any cell that we picked, that would have been the same idea. So that is definitely a 4. Now, that is kind of useless, because that doesn't clear any fog, so that means these other cells must still have a little more logic with them. Well, one thing that I can say is that right now, this sees 4 cells that are entered. But it can't be a 4, because that's already a 4. So this must be a 5 or a 6, because it's only seeing those cells. This is a 6, actually. This is definitely a 6, because it only sees those cells, and we already know those are all entered. So that's a 6, that's a 5, and suddenly we cleared a little bit of fog, which is good. There's some cages over there, which is interesting. This already sees 6 cells that are entered, but it can't be a 6, so it has to be a 7, 8, or 9, which means one of these cells here on the left, on the right, excuse me, is definitely entered. At least one of them. Now, this path can't close like this. That's impossible. So this part of the path must go over here, and this part must go over here. Let's see. This cell sees these 9, and right now there's 4 that are on the path. But it can't be a 4, because that's a 4. It can't be a 5 or a 6. So this is also from 7, 8, or 9, which means a lot of these cells are also entered. Which makes me wonder, well, yeah, this can't be a 7, I don't think, because that would mean these two squares are not entered at all. And then, what would this digit be? Well, it sees 4 right now, but it must be at least a 7. But it can only be a maximum of 7 now, if the path does something like that. And they can't be the same digit, so that is definitely not a 7. Which means now one of these two is also visited by Finks. Now, I can't exactly see what's happening there. I see that there's a wall, like, corner here. And there's a path to go down. If I want to do that, but I don't know if that's correct quite yet. This can't be a 9, because this would mean all 9 of these cells are entered. But that would mean all 9 of these cells are entered, and that would make that a 9. And they can't both be 9, so that can't be a 9. Now, if all 9 of these cells are entered, that's fine. Because then this sees 6 cells. This would see 6 cells, and then you would have to pick 1 or 2 from these 3. Not sure. Am I recording? Yeah, I'm recording, alright. These cells have the digits 1, 2, and 3 in them, and then whatever's not in these digits, 7, 8, or 9. Don't know what that means. Did it say anything else about cages that I didn't see? They just don't repeat in the cage. Every cage has an electricity symbol, which indicates its shock value. Well, we know whatever the shock value of this is, it's below 5, because Finks has to enter it, definitely. Should not be entered by Finks. Any cage with a shock value of 5 or higher, yeah. So say that was the shock value, it'd have to be 1, 2, or 3. This can't be a 4. In fact, I'm thinking of marking high and low digits in this puzzle. Thinking that's going to be useful, but it sort of makes the sensors hard to see, so I'm going to hold off for now, and we'll see what we can do. What am I doing here? Yeah, I feel very lost. If this was a 9, well, if this was an 8, then this would have to be a 7. But if this was an 8, then 5 of these cells would be visited, and then 2 of these. If this was a 9, then this could be a 7 or an 8. That's not useful. All I know is 1 or 2 of these cells is visited, but never all 3. Because then that would make both of these digits 7. What am I doing here? I feel very lost already. You know, I haven't even started the puzzle, pretty much. I should be able to get something more from this, but it feels very free to do whatever it wants. Because it's not like if the path enters that cell, then it must also enter that cell above it, because both of these walls are open, so it could do something like that. I can't assume that that's impossible, right? Well, but if it did do something like that, then this would be an 8. And this would see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 already. And both of these cells would be out of limits. And then where does this go? It can't go up because I see the wall extends there. It can't go here because I see that's a rounded corner. So I think what I'm understanding is that it doesn't do that, which is the only way that it could enter this cell without it having to enter also that cell. So I think this cell is out of limits, which means that this is an 8. Okay, good. Now this is 7. We enter this cell somehow. These are from 1, 2, 3, and 9. That's not a 9. 1 because of the black dot, and 2 because it has to be low for the electricity to be safe. Well, we must enter this cell now, and that cell's blocked, so that does mean we do that. Which means we now go down, which means we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cells here. So down that's blocked. That will never be on the path. Those are kind of given, because the path wouldn't cross itself or whatever. We must go there, and now this must be from 1, 2, and 3, because Sphinx enters this cage. And now I think we have to use the test constraint. So what the test constraint said is that each consecutive cage that Sphinx enters must have a total 1 greater than the previous one. And these are definitely consecutive cages that she enters. So they must have a total that's 1 consecutive, which I think is going to mean that none of these cages can have a 9. Because if they did, then... Wait, no, that's absolutely possible, actually. Sorry. Because if this was 9, 3... Well, no, actually, no, that's impossible. Because if this had a 9, then what's the maximum that this cage can be? Now that can't be a 9, because it sees a 9 in this box. So the maximum this cage could be is 3 plus 2, which is 5. And 5 and 9 plus something are definitely not continuous. Same thing with this one. If this was a 9, then the maximum this could be will be 5, and that's not right. So neither of these is 9, which means that is our 9 in this box. Cool. Cool. Now this is interesting, because now we entered this cage too. And, well, the max these cages can add up to is 5. So if this was the 5 cage, and this was the 4 cage, then this will have to be the 3 cage. Which actually I think is exactly how it's going to go, because I can't see another way of this working. Because if this was the 5 cage, well, sorry, hold on. No. The problem is I don't know which direction Sphinx is coming from, here or here. I'll think about that sensor in a second, by the way. If this added to, well, the minimum any of these can add up to is 3. But this can't add to 3, because if this was 3, then these two would have to be 2 and 4 in some way. But neither of these can add to 2, because that would require us to put 2 1s. So this does not add to 3. It adds to 4 or 5. If this adds to 5, then these two are 4 and 6. This can't be the 6 cage, so this would be forced to be the 4, and this would add to 6. Now, if this added to 4, then it would be 1, 3. That would be forced to be a 2. Which doesn't really tell us much. It just says that these would now be a 3 cage and a 5 cage. Which they can be. There's nothing stopping them from doing that. Either way, the biggest this cage can add up to, I think, is 6. If this was a 5 and that was a 4. So the biggest digit in the cage must be a 5 at most. And it makes sense that that's from 1, 2, 3, and 4, because this is a safe cage. And now we can think about this digit, because this can't be... well, this has to be at least a 3, because we already see 3 cells in this area. So that's not a 1 or a 2. Now the minimum this cage can add up to is 4, because it's 3 and 1. So this can't be a 3 cage anymore. Okay. In fact, what can this be? A 3, a 4? Not a 3 anymore. A 4, a 5, or a 6? 3 plus 1 is 4. 3 plus 2 is 5. 3 plus 3 is 6. That can never be a 3, because it either goes 3, 3, which is impossible in Sudoku, or 3, 5, which adds to 8. Can that ever be a 4? No, because it would add to either 9 or 7. So that's not a 4 either. That's a 1 or a 2. If it's a 3, it could be a 1 or a 2. If it's a 5, it must be a 1. Well, but it can't be a 3, actually, I just realized, because then what does that mean? That means that these 3 will be blocked off, but then where does part of the path go? It goes nowhere. So this is a 5, making that a 1, making that not a 1. Now this cage does add to 6, so this cage must add to either 7, which it can't, or 5, which it will. So this is a 2, 3 cage, putting a 1 there, and now this cage adds to 4, putting a 3 there. Okay, this is getting interesting. Now this is either 6 to go together with that 3, or it's not a 1. Actually, it could be a 1. That one's not in the box, or it's a 4. This is a 1, 4, or 6. We have another sensor there. Another sensor here. A big cage over there. This cage adds to 6. Okay. So now what? Well, now the path must definitely continue this way. At least. Which now makes this digit, whoops, at least a 5. And up to an 8. But it's not a 6, 7, or an 8, so it's a 5. Which means now all the 5 of those digits are exactly what are used, so these are all blocked off. Which is exactly what I was saying. This is a sensor, but Sphinx doesn't have to step on it. Now this path must continue, it can't go right, so it must go up. And now this is at least a 3, and up to a 7. So this is from 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. It's not a 3 or a 5, actually. It's not a 7, because it's on a black dot. It's not a 6. Excuse me. Excuse me. It's not a 6, because the black dot would force that to be a 3, which it can't be, so it is a 4. Now that can't be an 8, because that 8, so that's a 2. That's not a 4 anymore. And now that's interesting, because now that means only one more of these cells is ever visited. It's not this one. Because, again, Sphinx would have to go in and out of it, so she would have to do that. It's not this one, because she would have to go in and out of it, so she'd have to do that. So these are both blocked. It's not this one, because if she was ever in that cell, she'd be trapped, because she can't go down. So it is this one. Which means she's going to have to do this at some point in her path. And then she's going to have to do that to continue. Now this is a 1-digit... Oh, this is a 1-digit cage, and we know what it is, actually, because this is 1, 3, adding to 4. This is the previous cage in the path, so this is 3. Yeah. Cool. Now, what? Now we must be pretty close to where Finks starts, because these cages are pretty small up to this section of the path. And we actually know the direction she's going. She's going in this direction, because that's where the cages are increasing. They just can't repeat in a cage, yeah. Which is interesting, because now if that means if she enters... Well... Yeah. Well, now Finks can't go left. Because if she does, she'll either have to go here, here, or here. Either way, she's going to enter this cage. But now that would mean this cage has to add to a 2. And that's definitely not possible in 3 digits. So she's going to have to go up. Which means she has to go up again. To continue that path. Now this is at least a 3. But it's not a 3. So it's a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. That's not very useful. Well, it's not a 7 or a 9 because it's on a black dot. It's not a 6 because that would force this to be 3. So it's actually a 4 and 8, which is more useful than I thought. Now this is a 2, a 4, or an 8. Cool. Now what? I feel like we've actually done a good amount of stuff so far, but still quite a bit left. There's a lot we've drawn on the grid so far. I don't think this can be an 8, because that cell's blocked off. No, it can still be an 8. If the path did something like this, and then this part of the path did something like that, that could be an 8, yeah. There's nothing stopping it. Actually, maybe it's harder for that to be a 4, because that would mean there's only one more cell in this path. In this part of the path. Think about this real quick. This is already missing 2 cells, so the maximum it can be is... But it's seeing 3. It's not a 3, and it's not a 4, but the maximum that can be is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it is a 5, a 6, or a 7. If it's a 7, that means all of these squares are visited, which would make that an 8, because that's already bigger than 4. If it's a 5, that means we're missing 2 squares. If it's a 6, that means we're missing 1. Don't know. We can, I don't know if this is cheating, but we can kind of see where rounded corners are and where they aren't. I guess that's not cheating. That's just info that's in the puzzle. Like, this wall definitely extends up here. Let me draw that in a different color. This wall definitely extends up there. That's not a good color. Shoot. There. This wall definitely extends up. So we can't go directly right from here. But obviously I don't know which other way we can go. We could go, well, we can't go there. We could go there, there, or there. Those are all valid choices. But now I'm starting to think about this digit. Because if that's a wall, how could this ever be a 7? No, it could. It could, because it could do something like this. That's possible, I guess. If this was an 8, that'd be a 4. If this was a 4, that'd be an 8 or a 2. Not very useful. Well, let's just fill in these digits real quick. These are 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. That's not a 6, 7, or 8. Excuse me. That's not a 1, that's not a 9, that's not a 1. If... Think about this. Yeah, if Finks enters this cage at all as her next cage from here, then this cage is going to have to add to 7. And there's only one way of adding to 7 in 3 digits. That would be 1, 2, and 4. That would force a 1 here, which would put a 2 there. These would be 2 and 4. Putting 3 there, 6 there. 1 would be forced there. Putting a 9 there. This would be a 7, 8 pair. That would do a lot of stuff. But I can't be sure that that's correct, obviously. What is this? It's interesting, that's for sure. Is it? I don't know. These can't be too many things, actually. This pair here. Actually, I think this pair is given. Because it can't be a 3-6 pair. Because the 3 is already taken in this box. It can't be a 4-8 pair. Because then that would make this square empty and that a 2, and that's impossible. It can't be a 2-4 pair, because that would make both of those an 8. So it must be a 1-2 pair, which means that's not a 2. Those are a 4-8 pair. Putting 8 out of here, which means 8 is now there in that box. Doesn't clear any fog, because there's no fog around it, but hopefully that's correct. Now that means that is a 1 or a 2. Which only adds to my theory that this is a 7 cage, and it does do, and this path does come here somehow. Can I prove that though? Not really. These are from 5, 6, 7, and 9. Yeah, these aren't 5s. These 2. Okay, oh, 1-2 pair. There we go. That puts a 6 there. That's actually going to do a whole bunch of work, because that puts a 9 there, 7 there. 7s now aren't here. Putting a 7 here, a 1 there. That's now a 3 by the black dot. That's now a 2. That did a lot of digits, but unfortunately it didn't clear any fog. Now, we can just write down what these are. We can't do anything with them quite yet, but that's okay. These are 1, 3, and 4. And these are 2, 6, and 9. Yeah. Unfortunate. We can also write down what these are. These are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 8. And these are 2, 4, 5, 6, and 9. Is that correct? Yeah. I can also write down what these are. These are the missing digits. 1, 3, and 7. Yeah. Now this is a 5 or a 6, which is interesting. So that means either 3 of these 4 squares are visited or 2 of them. This is an 8. Well, if this is an 8, that means this cage is definitely visited. Which, either way, even if this is not the next cage in the path, makes this a 1, 2, 3, or 4, which would force it to be a 2 or a 4. Shit. I thought I was gonna be able to do it. I thought I was gonna be able to prove that this had to be a 4. That wouldn't really have proven much, because we haven't proven that this is an 8, but I don't know. It would have been kind of cool. We still haven't found Finks, or the cupcake, by the way. Where is she? Where's she gone? Finks. Please. Finks, please. Please. Shoot. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Don't know. Kind of lost it. Is the puzzle correct so far? It is. There's a lot of info on screen right now. I apologize if it's kind of cluttered, but not much I can do about it, unfortunately. Think about this again. So if that's an 8, all 8 of these cells are visited. Which means there's already 5 here. So that's, well, doesn't say anything about that. But it does actually, because I just realized, if this cell is ever visited, that's a rounded corner, which means we must do that. Which would make this a 6. Whoops. So if that cell is ever visited, this is a 6. And the path goes something like that. I don't know. shoot, man. You wanted me to think about this sensor or something? Well, sure, I can sort of think about that one, because what's the minimum number of... This sensor's seeing all the circles in this... all the cells in this box. What's the minimum number of cells we must occupy in this box, knowing that we're here? Well, it's 3. Because if we beeline it out of here, we're either going to go that way or that way. Either way, we're going to occupy 3 cells. So this is at least a 3. It could be a 4. It can't be a 5 because of that. It could be a 6. It could be a 7. It can't be an 8. Could it be a 9? Maybe. Maybe. No. No, it can't, I think. No, it can. Can it? Can it? Can't. Can't be a 9, because that would mean all of these squares are path, which would mean this square's path, and that would extend like that. This square's path, and it would extend like that. And now, what do we do? That is actually possible, because we can do something like that, and then that could connect like that. Oops, not like that. Like this. Shoot! Wait, no, but we're missing a square. Oh, but we can just do that. Ah! So, never mind, that's not very restricted. If it is a 3, then we do beeline it out there, when we either go all the way over there, or we go all the way over here. I really want to prove that this is the next cage, but I don't know how to do that. I really don't. Must we do some Sudoku or something? 1's over there. 5's over there. It's not super useful. Like, at all. Really. These are from 2, 4, 6, 8, and 9. How do I do this, man? Don't know. I really don't. I'm kind of lost, to be honest. I know we entered that cage, but the problem is I don't know when we're gonna enter that cage. This is 6. I don't know. I'm missing stuff. Oh, this is a 5. That's what I'm missing. Yeah, that's what I'm missing. Okay. This is a 5. And we only have 3 cells here, so 2 of these cells have to be visited. Which now makes this at least a 4. It's not a 3 anymore. Because if it was a 3, again, we have to beeline it. And then that only visits 4 cells. Or we have to beeline it, and that still only visits 4 cells. So that's not a 3. Now, we only visit 2 of the cells, which means we don't visit all 3. So that's also not a 9 anymore. So 4, a 6, or a 7. And 2 of these are visited. So how is it that it's not those 2? Because if we visit this one, then we must do that. But now we have to visit exactly one of these, and we can't do that, because if we visit this one, we're going to have to continue the path like that, and we visited both of them. If we visit this one, then we have to continue the path like that, and we visited both of them. So this cell can't be visited. We must visit these 2, which would mean the path goes like that, and now this must connect to that like that. And finally, we've proven that this is the next cage, and it is a 7 cage. So this is from 1, 2, and 4. This is not a 6, an 8, or a 9. That's not a 1. That's a 2-4 pair, making that a 1. That a 2. We found Finks! There she is! And we know the start of the path, because this must go like that. So, there we go. Finks starts her path off like that. Finks, how you doing, girl? I missed you. Okay. So, now that's how the path starts, for sure. So we must, well, this can't be a 4 anymore, because we don't move out of the box. Because if we move out of the box, we're going to bump into our own path, definitely. So we stay in the box. We don't go down. We go up. That's not a 4 anymore, because we already see at least 5 cells. And because that 2-4 pair, but whatever. We found things. Let's go. Now, we don't move out of the box immediately. Actually, we could, and then re-enter it at a later time and do something like that. I was going to say we can't move out of the box immediately, because this can't be a 5. But I can't exactly prove that. Can say what these are. It's not too useful, but I can say it. These are 3, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Those aren't 9s or 6s. That's not an 8. That's not a 3 or 7. This can't be an 8 anymore, because now neither of these cells are visited. So this is a 4. That's an 8. That's a 2. That's a 4. Huge fog clear. 8 is not there. 8 is not there, which puts an 8 there in that box. We can delete this line now, because that's useless. Those aren't 4s. Okay. That's not a 7 anymore, because it's on a black dot. That's not a 9, because it's on a black dot. That's not a 5, because it's on a black dot. So that's a 6. That's a 3. Those aren't 3s. That's a 5 and a 9. Puts a 9 there. 9s aren't in there anymore. 9 and 6 aren't there. 3, 7 pair puts a 6. Which now means exactly one of these cells is visited, but not both. Which is interesting. We can't move up. We can't move directly up, because then, well, first off, this would be forced to be a 4, because this cage must be safe now. But now, what must this cage add up to? This adds to 7, so this must add to 8. But then it would be 4, 4, and that's impossible by Sudoku. So we don't move up. We move left. And now we don't move left again, because this is 6, and it already sees it's 6 cells. So that cell is blocked. Which means we either move diagonal like that, whoops, or move up like that. Either way, we entered this region now. We can say what these are, because there's only 3 that's missing now. These are 5, 6, and 8. This has a hard time being a 2, I feel. Because if it's a 2, that means none of these cells are ever visited. I guess that's possible. Never mind, I don't know what this is. This is a 5. And it sees 3 cells. Okay, so it must see exactly 2 more cells. Now, if this cell is ever visited, we must go like that, and then we see 6, which is too many. So this cell's out of limits. This cell's out of the question, because if we ever visited this cell, would be blocked, because we can't go down. So now these cells are both visited, which means we're going to have to do that at some point, which continues like that. And now this cage is safe, so that's from 1, 2, and 4, because it can't be a 3. Don't know if that cage is safe, but if we did, that would be huge, because that would be a... sorry, 1, 7 pair does not see that, so my bad. was gonna say that couldn't be a 1, but that's completely bogus. I was about to claim that this now can't be a 2, but it's still not true, because we could do something like this. Well, again, if that was a 2, that would mean all of these are blocked off. So we'd have to put X's on all of these. I still feel like that's difficult for us to do, because we must get from here to over there somehow. It's not impossible, but it's very difficult. I don't think that's the next step in the puzzle, but I'm pretty sure this won't be a 2. We're at 7 cage. So next cage we enter is going to have to be an 8 cage. Which is very interesting, because it's going to have to be this cage, because this cage definitely extends up. At least to there. So... and we're going to have to enter it somehow, because we either move like that, or move like that, and then like that. So we're going to end up in the square at some point. And then we're going to have to move up from there. But the important point is that however this cage is made, it's going to add to 8, because we're entering it. If this was a 2-cell cage, that would be a 5 with a 3, which is impossible, or a 7 with a 1, which is possible. Can this be a 3-cell cage? 8 and 3 cells is either 1, 2, 5, which is impossible because of that, or 1, 3, 4, which is impossible because of that. So this is not 3 cells. It is 2 cells. It's not 7. It's not 3, 5 because of that 5. So it is 7, 1, meaning that is a 1. Huge. Absolutely massive for the program. Okay. Now, I still don't know if we go diagonal or if we go like that. And I actually don't know what's going to disambiguate that, but we'll figure it out. These are a 2 or a Jesus Christ. Oh, come on. These are either 2 or 3. They're not a 2, because this already sees 2 cells, and that would mean we're blocking off all these, and now we don't have an escape route. So this is a 3. These aren't blocked off. Let me erase that so I don't get confused. This is a 3. That's a 2. That's not a 2 anymore. Yeah, I actually don't know what's going to disambiguate this. I feel like those are both possible. Am I being dumb? Well, anyway, we can only pick up one more square in these 6. It's not that one, because that would mean we're picking up at least one more square. So that's blocked off. It's not that one, because that means we're picking up at least 4 squares. So it must go diagonal, and then we must go out. And now out of these 6, 2 are blocked off, so the maximum this can be is 4. And it's not a 1 because it already sees 2, so this is a 4. Which would mean this square is also part of the path, which would mean it extends up and down. And that's also huge, because this is an 8 cage, which means this is going to be a 9 cage. None of these are 8 then, because that doesn't work to make a 9. 6 would need a 3, so that's not a 6. That's a 5. That's a 4. That does make a 9. That's a 2. That's not a 2. This can't go down, so this goes right. Those aren't 4s. Those aren't 5s. These are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9. I still don't know what's gonna happen here. What? Am I missing something? Am I missing something there? Is the puzzle right? Puzzle's correct so far. I don't know. We'll see. This is not a 2. This is not a 2. It's kind of interesting. Because we know we enter this cage, but this cage adds up to at least 2, 3, 6, which is 11. Right now we're at 9. So we can't go directly to this cage, because that would be jumping 2. We must go up then. I feel like this is not going to be able to be a 9, because then it would be 14, and we would need 4 more cages between this and this, but that's technically still possible, so let's not jump to conclusions. This would have to add to 10 if this is the next cage we visit. Is that possible? Yeah, there's nothing stopping it. Well, whatever this adds to, this must be 1 larger than it. Because they're definitely consecutive. So if this is 11, this is 12. If this is 14, this is 15. Which maybe we can get what that is, actually, because we can get these digits. These are 1, 4, and 7. 5. And these are 3, 3, 7, and 9. So the minimum these can add to is 1, 3, 6. Which is 10. That's not very useful. 1, 3, 8 would be a really nice way of making 12 if this is 11. Can these add up to 15? Can they? Hold on. I think it's impossible to get 15 with these numbers. So if that was a 1, well, okay. If that's an 8, that means these have to add up to 7. 4 and 3 work. Damn. Darn. Oh, sorry. We'll definitely enter this cage, so that must be a safe digit, so that's a 3. Should have seen that sooner. That's not a 3. The sensor. Yeah. The sensor right now... Oh, it can't be a 9, because that's blocked off, so that's a 6. That is a 9. That is a 2. This now does add up to 11, so that must add up to 12, so these add up to 9. 6 would need a 3, so that's an 8. That's a 1. Those aren't 1s. Those aren't 8s. That is a 4. That's not a 4. That's not a 4. That's not an 8. This is an interesting cage right here, but we'll think about that in a second. These are... Well. Don't know. Finks is going to enter one of these cages, and whichever one it is adds up to 10, because that added up to 9. If it's this one, that means that's a 1. If it's this one, that means that's a 1 still, because the cage must be safe. And then that would have to be a 7, which it can be. There's nothing stopping it. So I don't know exactly what should this go up. That's given. What is happening over here? I'm losing my mind. I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. This seat's only 3 cells, so it can't do that. There we go. Mind has been recovered. Don't worry. We're okay. We're fine. Can get these really quick, just while my brain stops being an idiot. 7, 8, and 9 are those. Not very useful. We're actually almost done with the Sudoku, by the way. I didn't realize just how much of the grid had been filled. And we still don't know where the cupcake is. Still searching around for it. I'm stupid. Yeah, okay. This adds up to 11. We can't go in this cage, because if we did, we'd have to go out, and then we'd have to go out into this cage. And then that would be the 11 cage, but this is the 11 cage. So that's not what we do. We go directly here, which means this is the 10 cage. Which means this is a 1, because it must be safe. And now this is a 7. That's a 7. That's a 9. That's a 7. These aren't 7s. Those are going to be interesting, whatever they are. That path continues there. It can't go there, because that is an unsafe cage, so it must continue. I have a hard time believing that the path can go up. Because if it does, it must still connect here it must connect here somehow, and it can't. There's no other way. So the path goes down. Which, does that mean that's a 1? Maybe. I don't know quite yet. That's definitely a 5, though. It means these aren't 5s. Well, that cell's never visited. So this is at most a 5. It's not a 2 or 4, so it's a 1, a 3, or a 5. Don't know quite yet what it is. Oh, actually, these are a 1-3 pair, because these can't be 1 and 3, and 1 and 3 are missing. Actually, sorry, forgot about this digit. Oh, well, the digits is 6 or 9, and it's a 6. Whoopsie daisy. F is on a lot of stuff. Yeah, 1 and 3 are left in this part. In this part, 4 and 5 are left. If this is a 1, all these squares are blocked off. If it's a 3, that means exactly 2 more of these squares are visited. Which would be these 2. Because these 2 would have to exit and enter. Unless one of those is the cupcake. The cupcake is definitely on the right side, because we still don't see it. And this is the only part of the grid with fog. So what the heck are we doing here? Well, the only last thing we know to finish off this puzzle is that this cage exists. And we enter it. And it either adds up to 9, 4, 3, which is 16. Or it adds up to 9, 4, 1, which is 14. Is the puzzle correct so far? It really is, huh? Is it? Hold on. 8, 3, 1. Am I being stupid? 8, 3, 1 adds to 12. But this adds to 14 or 16. So there's definitely at least one cage left for us to enter. That adds to 12. So what I'm thinking now is, where the heck is that cage, right? It must be entirely contained within this column. So there must be at least 2 adjacent digits, which when added up, add to 12. I can see a few of those. Well, I can see one of those immediately. That 4, 5, that 4, if that was a 4 and 8, that would work. If that was a 4 and 8, that would work. If that was a 5 and 7, that would work. Either way, I think that means we're going to have to go into this part of the grid. Which means this is not a 1, it's a 3. Huge. Okay. Which means that's a 3, that's a 1. We have found the cupcake. Holy crap. Now the path must continue here into the cupcake. The path must continue here, go up. This is a 13 cage, as I thought would be the case. The other way of thinking about that is this couldn't be a 16 cage. Because that would mean there would be 3 cages in this column, and that's just way too many to put there. Okay, now... what? I think this is going to have to be a 4. Because remember, cages must have a lightning bolt that is a low digit from 1 to 4. And we still don't know where the cage is, but there's only 2 possibilities for a low digit left in these fog cells. That one and that one. But if it was this one, then it would be a 2. And 2 plus 7 adds to 9. 2 plus 9 adds to 11. We need a 12 cage. 2 plus 7 plus 4 adds to 13. Yeah, there's just no way. There's just no way of making 12. So I think that's going to have to be a 4, and it's going to be paired up with an 8 there. I'm so huge, dude. 9, 5, 7, 9, 7, 8, 5, 4. And somehow, this is going to be resolved in a second. Don't know how. But we're definitely in here, so we do that much. This sees 3 cells, so none of these cells can be seen. So we do that, which now means we must connect like that. And now, now what? Now what? Wait, how is this fog still? Shouldn't that have been cleared up like a while ago? Unless I did something wrong. Oh no, I did something wrong. No, what? But that's correct, and I only went by the pencil marks. Did I fill in a pencil mark wrong? What? What did I do? Huh? I'm stupid. 8, 3, 1 as to 12. So it must add to 13. Okay, I'm so sorry. All the logic I said is still valid. I just missed what the number was in all of the thoughts of it. This doesn't add to 13. This adds to 14, you dolt. All the logic I said was still correct. It's just that means that's a 9 now. That's an 8. That's a 5. That's a 7, which, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Now that's a 6. That's an 8. That's a 5. That's a 4. And now, that part of the path is still that way. This can't be a 2, because it already sees at least 4 cells. So that's a 6. That's a 2. That being a 6 means all these cells are visited, which means we must do that. That's a 6. And to finish it off, that's a 2. I'm so mad I made a stupid mistake there again, but it's okay. It's okay. It's just my brain was tired. But that's okay. We actually did it. That was really, really fun. That was really, really, really fun. Experiment completed successfully. Cells visited 55. Blackcurrants eaten 1. Inactive cages and... God dang it. Guess what happened? My freaking external disk ran out of space again while trying to record this. I really need to go through that and just delete some stuff, because I can't keep doing this. And now this video is going to take longer to get out because I'm going to need to splice both of these parts. And the second part's going to be like a minute long. Oh, it's so stupid. Whatever. I don't know how much of that got caught in the last recording. So, experiment completed successfully. Cells visited 55. Blackcurrants eaten 1. Inactive cages entered 12. Active cages entered 0. Phase 1 of the rat run study is now complete. Over these 10 experiments, Finks has continued to surprise us at every turn with what she's capable of. Results will be analyzed, and further calibration of the equipment will take place before Phase 2 commences in the autumn. So actually we do have a time frame for when more puzzles are going to come out, and it's pretty soon. Autumn is right around the corner, really. Yeah, that was really fun. It took me about an hour. Really, really good. Let me delete these X's here so we can see the path a bit more clearly. I got all of them. There we go. Yeah, that's a very long path, but it all makes sense. Very, very cool. Very, very fun puzzle. Really enjoyed that. That was great. And yeah, let's put in that code. Yeah, did this on the path in column H from top to bottom. Those would be, well, everything except for the 3 there. So 4859 2716. 4859 2716. And there we go. Very good. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we only have one more puzzle left in the Rat Run series, which would be Rat Run number 8. The 4-star one. I still want to try that. And perhaps I'll even do it soon. I don't know. Perhaps I will, perhaps I will not. We'll see. Either way, I really do want to try it. It seems really fun. Yeah. It seems very weird, because there's stuff like doubler cells and Nabner lines, which those are kind of a pain to work with, but especially with doubler cells, but I do want to try it. Perhaps we will soon. But for now, I'm really glad we cleared all this. Those were super fun, and I don't know, just goes to show that I'm actually getting better at these Sudokus. It's fun. It's really good. But yeah, so for now, I guess that's it. I'm gonna go splice these videos and post this. Yeah. Good night.